and this video will explain how to gain access to our virtual auction. First, go to 32auctions.com/SLC. There you can read info about our auction and the SLC Banquet. To view the auction items and place bids, click the green View All Items button. In order to bid on an item, you will need to create an account. Once your account is created, you can then log into the auction. You will also have to click Request Access to participate in the auction. Once you click that, enter your information and your email address and click Submit. You will then be granted permission to participate in the auction. Thank you again for partnering with the SLC at Eden.
Between us, by the cross you came and broke them down. You broke them down. And there were chains around us. By your grace we are no longer bound. No longer bound. You called me out of the grave. You called me into the light. You called my name and then my heart came alive. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Feel the darkness shaking. All the dead are coming back to life. Back to life. You hear the song awaken. Found hope in the aftermath. And
First, to the Banquet Planning Committee, to Tracy Mumford, Karen Friesen, and Lori Wall. You guys have been outstanding, and you've done so much to make this such a successful night, so thank you. And thank you to the volunteers who went and found auction items, or who donated auction items, or who came to the church to help pack meals so that everybody could pick up their food and have a great time tonight. I want to say thanks. I want to thank the Eden Advisory Board, to our chairperson Briar Weens, Eric Alguire, Len Jansen, Peter Smith. Thank you so much for your support and your involvement in the work of the SLC. I want to thank Marv Clausen for hosting tonight. Marv has been such a great support over the years, and he is always sought after as our host. So thank you, Marv, for being part of this. I want to thank our worship band for using your gifts and talents. Thanks to all of our presenters, particularly our student stories. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your stories with us tonight. Thanks to Ethan Braun, to Steve Thompson for filming and editing, and to Eric Macchio, who is taking all of this footage and putting it all together for the banquet presentation tonight. Thank you so much. And finally, for those who donated wine, for the local wineries that have donated, and for many who have worked their contacts to get those bottles of wine to be given to our families. We're so grateful and so thankful for your support in that way.
Greetings to all my fellow earthlings. I'm a stranger, not in danger to all of the earthly workings. I've been lurking like a tiger in the night. In this dark I see a spark, it's a fire shining bright. So I cling on tight to another worldly kingdom of the light. While this world is decaying, I'm obeying what is right. Shift our gaze up like a kite, like a razor or a knife. I will splice what we call life. Adam, your kingdom has fallen, now we're exiled. Yeshua is calling, restore what Adam cursed. New heaven, new earth, await the rebirth when the Son of God return. Take me back to Eden. Take me back to Eden. Take me back to Eden.
Trying to find where my place is. I'm looking for my own oasis. So close I can taste this, the fear that love alone erases. So I'm back to the basics. I figure it's time I face this. Time to take my own advice. Love alone is worth the fight. Love alone is worth the fight. And I never thought I'd come to this, but it seems like I'm finally feeling numb to this. The funny thing about a name is you forget what the reason you were playing the game is. And it's all an illusion, a 21st century institution. And so I'm headed down the open road unknown. And we find what we're made of through the open door. Is it fear you're afraid of? What are you waiting for? Love alone is worth the fight. Love alone is worth the fight.
Hi, my name is Mckenna and I'm in grade 10 and I'm an online student that gets to connect with the SLC through Encounter. Encounter is an online life group where I get to connect with my friends, learn about God, and just not be alone during this time, because it's hard not to be alone when you can't connect face to face. Without your support programs, like Encounter wouldn't be able to exist in my school. Thank you everyone for supporting and giving me the opportunity to connect with the SLC and learn about everything.
And this video will explain how to gain access to our virtual auction. First, go to 32auctions.com/SLC. There you can read info about our auction and the SLC Banquet. To view the auction items and place bids, click the green View All Items button. In order to bid on an item, you will need to create an account. Once your account is created, you can then log into the auction. You will also have to click Request Access to participate in the auction. Once you click that, enter your information and your email address and click Submit. You will then be granted permission to participate in the auction. Thank you again for partnering with the SLC at Eden.
Hi, my name is Alexa Winans and I am in grade 9 at Eden High School. One of the many challenges of starting high school in the middle of a pandemic is I didn't know anyone. Almost everyone from my school was in cohort B, and I had none of the same classes with anyone from my school. I felt disconnected from people and from God because I didn't have church for a few months, I didn't have youth, I didn't have school. I just felt so disconnected from everyone and everything. But then I remembered a verse from Jeremiah. For I know the great plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not hurt you. This really inspired me and helped me through a very difficult time. But reconnecting through the SLC was an amazing experience. I got to meet so many great people that I would not know today without them. I got to meet with Megan, who actually introduced me to my friend group when I had literally no one. And I got to meet with Alicia a few weeks ago to just talk about how life is going and to check in. Through life groups and through fun games, I've got to meet so many great people, leaders, students, and get to know that I have someone behind me no matter what. I have support. If I'm going through anything or I'm having any difficulties, I can go talk to someone. I have someone I can talk to. Thank you for watching, and please support the SLC.
Oh, we look to the sun, set our eyes on our Savior, see the image of love, sing His praises forever. Oh, we look to the sun. Oh, we look to the sun. Come on, greet and praise God tonight. Salvation tearing through the dead of night. See the kingdom burst into color at the speed of light. Freedom shaking up the atmosphere as the shadows fade into nothing as the day appears. Come on, lift your voice tonight. Beyond the skies above, love reaching out for us. The everlasting
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marv Clausen, and I hope you are doing well from wherever you are watching me from tonight and enjoying your chicken parm or whatever your selection was. More about that later. As we know, things change, and they're doing so now more than ever. You know, there were countless events either canceled or postponed this past year. The North American Scrabble Championships, the Olympic Games, the Bob Dylan concert tour. Well, maybe that one should not have happened regardless. But not everything is canceled. The Spiritual Life Center banquet is still going full speed ahead. And if right now we were all in a room together at a place like Rockway Vineyards Golf Course, we would all cheer and clap loudly. Unfortunately, that's not happening. So while tonight is a bit different, unconventional, you might say, you do have to hand it to the people who have made this evening possible. Where there's a will, there's a way. Attitude has been phenomenal. And so it's my privilege not only to welcome you into my home, but simultaneously to this virtual event. The purpose here tonight is once again to shine a light on the fabulous work of people like John, Alicia, Megan, and Ethan, and the meaningful way that they serve students, to appreciate their important role in the mission of the school, and to hopefully raise some funds for the programs that they deliver. So, what do we have in store tonight? Well, if you've attended in the past years, there's always a silent auction. And if you've not already done so, you need to go to 32auctions.com/SLC to register. I want to thank the sponsors for providing many fabulous gifts, such as a one-of-a-kind cornhole outdoor board game with the Eden logo. And with cornhole becoming the sweeping national sensation that it is, maybe only second to spike ball, I'm expecting the bidding for that particular item to go through the roof, or at least I hope it does. Also, you may bid on items until the 21st. That's tomorrow at midnight. And so you don't have to switch the channel right away at this moment. If you win, you can pay by check or e-transfer, and the pickup instructions will appear whenever you click on any of the items. So let's talk about the food. Special thanks goes to Antipastos for providing our meals. Thanks also to New Hope Church and the wonderful people there for hosting the food pickup. I'm hoping this evening will be fun and informative for you. We have some music and we'll be hearing from a variety of guests. First up is Eden's administrative team.
Hi, I'm Sharon Burns, and I'm the principal of Eden High School.
Hello, I'm Carla Piopasana, and I'm the vice principal of Eden High School.
And I'm Ann Kennerly, and I'm also the principal of Eden High School. I'm very pleased to be back at Eden High School this year. Carla, Sharon, and I would like to thank you all for supporting the SLC, who through the years, through their hard work and dedication, have served the students, family, and staff at Eden High School for generations. We are also pleased to welcome Marv Clausen tonight. For those of you who may not know, Mr. Clausen is a retired Eden High School teacher who distinguished himself at Eden as an exemplary teacher and leader in the Eden school community, and he continues to do so. Again, thank you for supporting the SLC, and please enjoy your evening.
Thank you to our hardworking administrative team. It's a pleasure to work alongside women who care so deeply for the students at Eden. And welcome back, Anne. My name is Alicia Jansen, and I've worked in the Spiritual Life Center for 18 years. And there have been a lot of changes over those years. A lot of different faces of students and staff, a lot of fads and styles that have come and gone. But the one thing that hasn't changed is my love for working with students, getting to know them, providing a safe place for them to grow, and being able to point them to Jesus. And I'm so glad to be able to introduce you to our next student speaker. Amy McMillan is in grade 12 this year, and during her time at Eden, she's been a part of just about every aspect of the Spiritual Life Center and the school in general. I had the pleasure of having Amy in my Epirea small group last year, and she is a thoughtful and intelligent and very compassionate young woman, and here she is.
Hello, my name is Amy McMillan, and I'm in grade 12 at Eden. When I was going to grade 9, the Spiritual Life Center was a big part of why I wanted to go to Eden. When school started, I was excited to start going to the first 25, but had no idea how much of a positive impact the SLC would have on my high school experience. One thing that I've had the chance to be a part of is the Girls Life Group Driven, where I've had the chance to learn about the Bible while also meeting many other Christian girls in different grades. In grade 11, I also had the chance to be a part of the leadership program at Berea. I was able to learn about leading as a Christ-like leader and had the chance to meet and connect with many other students. My group, which was led by Alicia, spent the year studying different books of the Bible and taking turns leading discussions about them. I thoroughly enjoyed this experience as I was able to learn about the books of the Bible while also connecting with my group members and getting their insights on different verses. It was also a great experience as we were able to connect what we were reading with the situation in the world. The first book that we read together was Philippians, where we talked about finding joy and spreading the word of God in hard times, and right after we finished reading it, COVID-19 started. In my 3 years of high school so far, I have also loved the retreats that the SLC have hosted. Both grade retreats and the Eparea retreat were great, as me and other students had the chance to connect with each other while worshiping God and having a great time together. When COVID-19 started, I was worried about what would happen with the SLC due to the fact that they could no longer have the first 25, but I have loved what they have been doing. Driven has continued to run virtually, where we have recently been talking about how to read the Bible. They have also been running drop-ins on Mondays and Fridays where we play games and have the chance to connect with other students. The SLC has also started a new life group network called Encounter, where I've had the chance to use some of the leadership skills I learned in Eparea, as one of my friends and I have led a group of grade 9s. These groups have been great as we've been able to learn about the Bible and connecting it to our lives while also having great discussions. Overall, the SLC and the programs they offer have been a great part of my high school experience, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to get involved with them. So thank you for tuning in and for donating to the SLC to allow great things like this to happen so that high school can be awesome.
Hi, I'm Ethan Braun, and I've been working in the Spiritual Life Center for 2 years now. And part of my responsibility and my role is to coordinate our student worship bands. And unfortunately, due to COVID, we haven't been able to have a live student worship band. But here we are today. The band is back together, and they're excited to lead you in some virtual worship. They're going to sing Waymaker for you, and I'd love to introduce them for you. On electric, we have Isaac DePersig, and on the bass here is our worship pastor at New Hope Church, Toby Delport. On vocals, we have Kaylin and Peyton. And on the keys, we have our awesome geography teacher, Mrs. Werner. And on the drums is Teddy Treffs. And so they're going to lead you in some worship now, and I hope you enjoy it.
Oh, just a bit of a wishful thinking and maybe some self-help reading there. Thanks, band, for sharing your musical talents and message with us this evening. All right, it's time for some trivia.
Oh, it's time for trivia.
True or false? Toothpicks cause more injuries every year than plane crashes and shark attacks combined. Actually, that's not the question. You'll have to Google that one yourself. But I'll ask you the real question now, and the first person to text the correct answer to 289-442-1375 will win a prize. Only the winner will be notified, so if you don't get a return text, guess what? You've lost. Well, maybe I should say that a bit differently. Guess what? You didn't win. Okay, here we go with the actual question. In what year did Eden Christian College officially join the public school board? I'll give you a couple of hints. It was the first year that the school was no longer a pilot project. The Winter Olympics were held in Calgary, and Whitney Houston had the top hit on the popular music charts with So Emotional. You can text your answers in now. Okay. Speaking to us this evening on behalf of the District School Board is Trustee Alex Bradnam. Welcome, Alex.
Good evening, Eden family. Welcome to the Bradnam Christmas. Yes, we do celebrate Christmas. Thank you for coming this evening, and we would like to encourage all of you. 2020, this has been a very dark year. So hopefully we can add a bit of brightness to these celebrations this evening. And we're asking that you give generously to the Eden Spiritual Life Center. It does such wonderful work for all the students that attend this institution in the District School Board of Niagara. So on behalf of our Director, Warren Hashizaki, our Board of Trustees, our School Board Chair, Sue Burnett, our School Board Vice Chair, Dave Schabel, senior staff, and of course myself and my family, we'd like to bring greetings to you and ask you again, please support the Eden Spiritual Life Center. Great job, great school. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alex, for those greetings. You have always been such an invested supporter of the Spiritual Life Center. Well, my name's John Bryan, and I'm the Spiritual Life Director at Eden. And the next student that we're going to introduce is someone that I know very well because he's lived the first 17 years of his life with me. He's had the privilege of growing up listening to U2. He's a fellow Dallas Cowboys fan, and I know these are painful days for us, so go easy. But more importantly, he's a Christ follower. And as a father, I've been able to see him grow in his faith and seek God on a daily basis. He's been a great encouragement to me as a dad, and I know he's encouraged the Spiritual Life Center team as he's involved himself with our programs, particularly in leadership. So it's my joy to introduce you to my son, Dylan, as he shares a story with you tonight.
Hi, my name is Dylan Bryan. I'm a grade 12 student, and I have the privilege of sharing my experience with the SLC tonight. In my years at Eden, I've been involved all around the school, whether it be sports or clubs, but the biggest impact always came from the SLC. In my transition to high school, I moved from an elementary school in Stony Creek. And while a transition to high school is typically daunting, I moved to a school in a different city with very few connections. The SLC provided a path to community and relationships for me with their annual fall grade retreats. These retreats are centered around building deep connections based on faith, and I was able to create long-lasting relationships with friends I still hold close to this day. They also have had a huge impact in building community with classmates and peers, using events like Celebrate You, a pizza party that anyone can sign up for, and oftentimes ends up merging two friend groups together for a time of fellowship. Life groups like Driven in the Foundry, where students can study and converse the Bible in a healthy conversation. They also create a community in the First 25, our morning chapel, where students can learn about the Bible in a dynamic and interactive way. The First 25 has been a huge impact on my own personal faith journey. A particular series called Vox Dei, Latin for the Voice of God, walked us through interactive stations depicting the story of Easter that culminated in a service of shadows. These stations transitioned words to real life, showing us facts and reasons proving how wonderful God's love for us is and how truly powerful Jesus' sacrifice on the cross is. The SLC has also impacted me as a leader through the Eparea program. The program works young leaders through stepping up and how to lead in a godly manner, influencing friends and peers in a godly way. Eparea also encourages a building upon community and contains a small group of students that break up into smaller chunks under the tutelage of an SLC member. Eparea encourages working with our peers and involves taking the members on our retreat to build team relationships as well as growing in our leadership capabilities. While on the retreat, many of us knew little of each other, but afterwards we'd grown very close and created lasting relationships with each and every one of us. Through leadership exercises, we were able to develop our capabilities as well as identifying strengths and weaknesses. The SLC also proved their commitment to students during the COVID-19 pandemic. Their commitment to students during the pandemic consisted of weekly drop-ins, life groups, and programs like Eparea, where my small group continued a weekly Bible study, or drop-ins where people were just able to say hi and connect in a sort of face-to-face manner. A few of my friends even just talked with each other about sports with some SLC members. Life groups also continued, walking students through scripture and how it helps and can still impact them in the new normal. Furthermore, they continue to run these programs currently, but have introduced a new program called Encounter. Encounter is student-led life groups that promote community and provides healthy conversations about real issues and questions we as students have. As one of the student leaders, I've had the privilege to listen to friends and peers share their ideas and interpretations of scripture, questions, and content, creating deep conversations and rooting community. Through Encounter, I've also been able to encourage some grade 9 students through their high school transition, sharing some stories, advice, and help get them connected to the SLC in order to make them feel at home at Eden. The SLC provides so much support for any and all students that come through their doors. And on behalf of all those students, I'd like to thank the generous donors that aid them in their mission. But the SLC can only continue their mission and purpose with support and donations. Alicia, Megan, Ethan, and my dad, John, have had such a lasting impact on students like me and will continue to do so with your support. Thank you.
This one really should have been on the Giller Prize shortlist. Okay, thanks Dylan for providing that student perspective. All right everyone, now we have another texting challenge. Whip over to @SLC Eden on Instagram and find the latest post. The first person to correctly text the code word to 289-442-1375 will win a prize, and if you win, you will be notified. Back at the height of COVID, student leaders from Eden's leadership group, Eparea, created a thank you video for frontline workers called SLC Cares. We are going to take a look at their video now.
Hi there, we're student leaders in the Spiritual Life Center at Eden High School.
We would like to take this time to say thank you
to all the essential workers who serve in our communities.
To the nurses, doctors, and support staff in healthcare.
To the farmers, businesses, and grocery workers.
To the emergency services personnel who help protect our families in uncertain times.
You've worked at the front line, giving sacrificially, even though it's not always comfortable.
We know you have held the hand of our neighbors, friends, and family members,
providing care and support in their darkest hours.
You have wiped surfaces more times than anyone can count.
You've stocked shelves and served customers, keeping food on our tables.
You have generously used your resources to provide life-saving medical equipment.
And we want you to know that your efforts are changing the story.
When the outcome could have been so much worse.
Your care for people is providing safety, spreading hope, and saving lives.
We thank God for your kindness and generosity, and we're praying for you.
And thank you to our leaders at all levels of government, our mayors, our MPs, our Premier Doug Ford, and our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
We know that you are making brave decisions even when the path ahead is unclear. So we are praying that you have wisdom, that you are encouraged through these tough times.
and that you remain safe, healthy, and strong as you lead our communities.
The light that shines the furthest shines the brightest at home.
To all of our essential workers and leaders, we salute your efforts.
In making Canada, this great nation, our home.
A beacon of light to the world.
So as you keep fighting to change the story,
you're helping our story continue.
So from all of us to you, thank you and may God bless you.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan Platt and I've worked in the Spiritual Life Center since 2010. The video you just saw featured students who were part of our leadership program called Eparea last year. Eparea is a Greek word for influence, and we see so much potential in students to influence those around them. Our Eparea program offers opportunities for students to grow as leaders and to deeply consider who they want to be and how to be positive influences on those around them. I'm so grateful for the opportunities we have to mentor and disciple students at Eden, to challenge, support, and encourage them. Our next speaker is an Eden alumni who, along with a great group of friends, was quite involved in the various programs in the SLC when he was a student. If you tuned into the pre-presentation, you may recognize Peter Hanna, also known as the Prince of Egypt. As a talented writer and rapper, he weaves his faith into his creative work as a way of expressing his closely held beliefs. Since graduating in 2015, he continues to occasionally stop by to catch up and encourage us. And I'm sure you'll be encouraged by what he has to say to you tonight, too.
Hello, I'm Peter Hanna, Eden alumni, class of 2015. You never fully realize what you have until it's gone, but sometimes even when you have something, you still have an appreciation for it. And that's what I had with the SLC. Transitioning from Eden, which had the SLC, to a secular university really made me appreciate what I had during my high school years and the huge role they had in my life. They were a huge spiritual support. They also encouraged and challenged me in my faith and kept me grounded. And through things like chapel and other meetings, there was a guy's study called The Point at the time. That really helped me keep my focus on Christ every day. Also, in my senior year, I started holding these prayer meetings in the morning, and all I had to do was find John, and he'd give me the keys to the hub, and I could go and host those meetings, which really shows how supportive they are. And so I want to thank you, the supporters, for how supportive you've been, because without your support, none of these things would have been possible. And I could be a very different person today without the SLC. Their door was always open, whether for serious conversations or casual conversations. And every year I make it a point to try and visit them at least once. And I know that if I want to visit them again in the future, their door will always be open.
Thanks, Peter, for those heartfelt words. They were truly appreciated. Moving ahead, it's time for a little bit of a story on a more serious note. Recently, my parents sold the family home in order to move into a seniors residence. Downsizing in life, as you can well imagine, comes with a host of challenges, not the least of which is trying to shrink decades of accumulation from a large home into a very small apartment. It's a big job. After the last of the items had been removed, there it sat, completely empty. I could hardly believe it. I took a final solo walk through, and while thinking to myself, this is where we socialized and ate. Here's where we laughed. This is the room where we sang and heard the Christmas story read. I don't care what the theologians may say. I think that a home really does have a soul. In my mind's eye, I could see various family members at different stages of life experiencing the highs and lows, and yet at the same time, the very best of what family life has to offer. And what struck me in that bittersweet moment was the need to appreciate what we have when we have it. I strongly feel the same way about the ministry of the SLC at Eden. It's where students socialize and occasionally eat. It's where they sing and hear words of truth spoken. It's where their own individual lives are placed in the context of the much bigger picture. I would say it's not unusual when you're out and about to see the language of family on a sign in front of a school. Words such as, "Our family misses you," or "Join our family." In practice at Eden, the SLC is creating the experience of family for students every day. And at the head of that family is our SLC director, John Bryan. John will come to speak to you now.
Hi again, everyone. Well, I want to start tonight by saying thank you to everyone for tuning in to the presentation. Many of you were close enough geographically to be able to grab some food that was catered by Antipastos, and we hope that you're enjoying your meal. Others of you weren't quite so close, but you've still chosen to tune in on a Friday night. And we may even have some international viewers that are on YouTube tonight watching. So we hope you've enjoyed the presentation so far. You know, as a kid, I used to love watching the show MacGyver. You know, the show was predictable for sure, but that didn't matter. Each episode would start out by, some tension that was building, and there would be some sort of bad guy, and there would be some sort of insurmountable circumstance, and everything would seem like all was lost, the world was ending, but we always knew that MacGyver had about 8 minutes at the back end of the episode to put something together and come up, with a great solution, and he always did. And it's interesting with MacGyver. I mean, who couldn't like this guy? What a hero, right? He was handsome. He didn't believe in guns. He had a trusty Swiss Army knife. And he was really resourceful. In fact, even frugal, using all that was at his disposal, the common items that were lying around to build his contraptions. As I think about it right now, he was the perfect Mennonite man. One episode I loved was watching him in the backseat of a car with an older couple driving, and they were being pursued by the villains. And no problem, MacGyver's in the back seat, and he's taking a car muffler, some seat cushion material, and he's basically fashioning a bazooka, and he then proceeds to fire a steering wheel knob through the engine block of the car that was chasing them, disabling it, and they make their getaway. Man, it was awesome, right? And as I think about it now, the show probably should have been illegal because they were putting ideas in the heads of junior high boys, and maybe worse, their dads. MacGyver was unconventional, to say the least. To be conventional means to be ordinary, and honestly, we would take a heavy dose of ordinary these days. But to be unconventional means to be different or original, not bound by ordinary conventions. Well, this year began very differently for us in the SLC, and this speaks to our banquet theme, unconventional. It highlights that the optic of our ministry looks really different, but the mission of our ministry has not changed. We are still all about leading students to learn of Christ and live in Christ. Now, in this season, we're certainly feeling the loss of normal structures and conventions. But I have to confess, there's something refreshing about having to step out of the comforts of what we're used to. To loosen our grip on the normal that we so often tether ourselves to. Now, we all find some peace in familiar routines, but they always seem to shift and change, particularly when we face challenges. But thankfully, we're not anchored to normal structures or familiar routines, and we don't come unhinged by our circumstances. That's because the life we have in Christ and the calling He has put before us can transform any life and in any context. We believe that God works all things together for the good of those who love Him and who are called according to His purpose. So we're excited about the new doors that God has opened before us. And these aren't normal standard doors. These are the doors that you see on airplane hangars. We believe that God is up to some great things because that is who God is. He's not bound by the conventional structures or wisdom of humanity. He opens doors of original and unconventional opportunity. So what does that look like for the SLC in this season? COVID protocols have not allowed the First 25, our morning chapel, to gather. So we started Encounter, online student-led life groups that you've heard about tonight. There are about 30 student leaders, about 10 to 12 local youth workers that are offering support, and about 90 students who meet each week to study God's Word and encourage one another in faith and life. Canvas was our first series that focused on embracing the opportunities we have in this new normal by letting God do something entirely different within us. We are now in a series presenting anti-racism from a gospel perspective, and we'll finish 2020 by engaging students with the Christmas story through a gospel lens. The SLC has provided much of the content with lots of filming, lots of editing, and lots of prep work for the teaching videos that we're offering. We know that doing community online, it isn't ideal, and we know that Zoom fatigue is a real thing, but it is a highlight every single week when we see students tuning in to connect in this way. So there's a lot going on in the SLC these days. And at this point, I want to say thank you to the team that I get to work with. For Alicia, Megan, and Ethan, I'm so grateful for the efforts that they have put forward in adapting to any and every situation that comes their way and their passion to continue to connect students with the life-changing gospel of Jesus. I want to say thank you to you as a team. Love you guys. And I want to say to all of our supporters, if you get an opportunity to thank this team, please reach out and do so because they're working so hard. So tonight is typically called a fundraising banquet, but I'd like to speak to that a little differently, and I'd like to speak personally, and I'd like to speak frankly, if I may. I was sharing the SLC's financial situation a few months ago with my wife, Cindy, and things are pretty challenging right now. And she asked me this question. She said, "Are you worried?" Now, the logical, rational response should have been absolutely. But I thought about her question and I replied with this. I said, strangely, no. Because the greatest place to be in life is when all of our conventions are exhausted and we are called to wait on God, trusting Him to lead us and being willing to follow courageously wherever that leading takes us. As I thought about the term fundraising, I'm not sure it does justice to what we're actually talking about as an SLC. Don't get me wrong, we do need to raise funds. But more than that, we need to raise vision. Fundraising invites people to write a check or send an e-transfer. But vision invites a person into partnership. A student donation helps sustain a ministry within a high school. But vision invites families, parents and students to invest in a lasting and a continued spiritual ethos in our school. The fundraising can happen from a distance, but vision always happens in proximity and becomes its best in community. And here's where I want to say thank you to all of you who are here, taking the time on a Friday night to share in what God is doing in the lives of students at a local high school. Many of you watching have been giving to the SLC for decades. Many of you have been fully invested for years, whether coming to a missions event or supporting a missions team or our Eparea leadership program or serving on the Eden Advisory Board. To the many who have given and blessed this ministry, we say thank you. But more than donations, you've shared in a vision of what could happen when the life-changing gospel intersects with the life of a high school student. And as an SLC, we get to see that on a daily basis, and it never ever gets boring. I share with you tonight that our financial outlook is challenging. Last year, our student donations were at an all-time low, but thankfully, we received just under $49,000 in our banquet, and that is an incredible amount. And in the weeks following the banquet, we received substantial gifts from donors, and those amounts supported us through the height of COVID in the spring, where we were able to continue to make connections with students. And I believe that these connections with students were so important because of the isolation that they were facing. And now for this year. This year we've received just over $46,000 in student donations. Now think about that. That means that we've received a donation for roughly 121 students at Eden. That means that we've received donations for approximately 10% of the student population at our school. To be honest with you, it's probably less because many of our parents have given well beyond the $380 suggested donation. Now, I'm not speaking to those of you that have faithfully supported us over so many years, and in many cases, it's been sacrificial. I'm not speaking to the parents who have embraced the vision and mission of the SLC, deeply valuing the importance of connecting with the soul of a high school student. I'm speaking to those in our community who have chosen Eden and who desire a faith-based ethos in their child's high school, yet have not given financially to this vital ministry. This is the visionary partnership that needs to be built because, as you'll see from our funding projections, our student donations need to be our biggest funding base. So here's what it looks like. With approximately 1,100 students at Eden, we are hoping that roughly half of our families would support the SLC financially. Now, if 2/3 of that demographic donated, it would be close to $157,000. We've been working to build our church partnerships, and we are grateful for Cornerstone Community Church, Scott Street MB, and our newest partner, New Hope Church, who are contributing. We can't say thank you enough for how you model and practice incredible generosity. Our goal is to see 10 churches support us, which would raise $55,000 in support. Our Change for 10 initiative has challenged alumni to give $10 a month, and we've set a goal for 250 alumni to join, and that would equal $30,000 in funding. And we're currently around 20 alumni, so we've got a lot of work to do. But we say thank you to those who are giving, but we're challenging others to join in. Really, it would be giving up a couple of lattes a month. Our banquet has set a goal each year of $25,000, and anticipated donations from individuals and businesses is set at $15,000. Our grade retreats and mission programs are not for profit, but part of the administrative cost is included in these programs and typically is about $6,000. So these projections would total close to $288,000 and would meet our operating costs each year. So here's the crazy thing. If we reach these goals and we receive donations for another 125 students, we would see just over $47,000 come in additional funding, and that would bring a fifth person onto the SLC team. You can see that we're working hard to build a sustainable model, but the largest part of our funding needs to come from our parents, because it's not just about money, but it's about vision. It's about partnering together as a community to see a lasting impact on the spiritual lives of students. So tonight we are trusting God for the resources to sustain the SLC through some challenging times. We're hoping for a visionary response that will support us, even as we continue to make personal phone calls to our stakeholders, hoping that our donation base will grow. You can give by dropping a check off at the SLC or cash. You will need to let us know when you're coming so we can meet you outside. Because of protocols, you're not allowed in the building. But the easiest way to give is through e-transfer. And that is now set up, and you can use this email, and it is giving.slceden@gmail.com. And there's no fees associated with that transaction, and that really helps us out a lot. So we really hope that tonight and in the days ahead, you will contribute, that you will give financially to support this great team and this great work to work within Eden High School. And we hope that you'll pass the vision on to others. As an SLC, we are trusting Him with whatever comes next, and we hope that you have the same peace. We're praying for you, our community, praying for you to have strength and peace in these days, praying that God would show Himself faithful to you, whatever your circumstances are. So once again, as you've tuned in tonight and you've chosen to be a part of this, we want to say thank you again. Thank you for your support. Thank you for partnering with us. And as we close, we just want to say, may God bless you and may He keep you. And we hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless.
Didn't really know there was a Clausen way, but whatever. Thanks, John, for those significant words. Your appeal certainly gives us a window into your heart and reminds us of what's at stake. We appreciate you and all of your colleagues in the SLC, and that's going to wind up my part this evening. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of the night. I'd now like to introduce the Eden Advisory Board Chair, Briar Wientz. Briar will have the final word.
Good evening. It's been so good to be together this evening, to share together in this virtual, unconventional way during this extraordinary time, and to support the Spiritual Life Center and its ongoing ministry at Eden High School. My name is Briar Wientz, and I have the privilege of serving alongside a remarkable team who care deeply about Eden and work of the SLC. Our team includes Len Jansen, Peter Smith, Eric Alguire, and John Bryan, our SLC Director. On behalf of our Eden Advisory Board, I want to sincerely thank each of you for spending your time here with us this evening, for giving of your time to gain greater insight and understanding of the SLC's impact and role in the life of Eden. We are so grateful for your presence, support, and encouragement in this way. We are cognizant that the SLC wouldn't be possible without stakeholders who are supporting the SLC, not only financially, but prayerfully. Thank you for your commitment and partnership with us in this ministry. I also want to say thank you to the past and current faculty and administration who are participating this evening, and for the way they make a difference in the lives of students each day. We are grateful for your support, and we are thankful to be able to partner and collaborate with you. I hope you've enjoyed, as I have, the opportunity to hear about the exciting things that God is doing in and through the lives of the students at Eden, especially in the time where the landscape has significantly shifted. Thank you, John, Alicia, Megan, and Ethan, for caring and giving so much of yourselves to ministering to the students, their families, and the community of Eden, particularly as you have given above and beyond this year. As evidenced tonight, the work you are doing is life-giving and life-changing, and we are grateful. I also want to extend our sincere thanks on behalf of the EAB to the Parent Council and the Banquet Committee, including Tracy Mumford, Karen Friesen, Lori Wall, and for the significant contribution you have made in making this evening possible. This has been a wonderful evening of celebration and of vision, and we are so grateful for all of your work. Finally, I would like to challenge and encourage you to join us in this journey as partners in this next season, as we prayerfully anticipate what God is going to do in and through the SLC as we wait on Him. We are trusting Him to lead and to make a way for us in this next season, giving students the opportunities to learn of Christ and to live in Christ within the context of an engaging and supportive community at Eden. Thank you.